These instructors that we had were Navy SEALs, bad dudes. I mean, they were some of the toughest guys you ever wanted to come across. One was Chief Jones, and he was a heavyweight boxer champ of the Navy. He was one of our instructors. We had an Indian, Oliveira. He was one of our instructors. There wasn't nothing that guy couldn't do. He smoked cigars, chewed tobacco. We'd go on runs. He'd run backwards as fast as we were running forwards. He used to do a run from San Diego to Los Angeles every year, nonstop. I think it was 104 miles. He was tough. He was one of our diving instructors. And the whole purpose we had there was, I think, 8 or 9 instructors that started off with the group. And we had people quitting the third day because it was brutal. I mean, their whole purpose was to make you quit. Find out what it was that was your weakness and make you quit. So we had people dropping out the third day. Some made it a week, some made it 2 weeks. But every week somebody would quit. And to quit, we had a bell that was outside of our barracks. And when it was time that you wanted to quit, you had to go ring that bell and wait for an instructor to come to see who rang the bell, and they'd make sure you knew what you were doing. And he said, because once you rung the bell, that was it. You were out. You could go back to the fleet. Well, I was never in the fleet, and I was never going to go to the fleet. And I had one instructor, his name was Chief Perry. He just had it in for me. He said there was no way that I was going to graduate out of this class. And the whole time I was going through it, he was trying to make me quit. But, they can only beat you so much. And back then, they laid hands on you. They're not allowed to do it now. It called you every name in the book and get in your face. And, it was, their purpose was to intimidate you. Every day they said you can't make it. They wasn't like, come on, you can make it. You're going to quit. Every day, you're going to quit. And it didn't bother me. It's like, we had a muster every morning, and you had to be in starch greens, your brass buckle, spit shine, your boots, where you could shave them. And, you spent time making your uniform just perfect, just to tear it. The first thing you do is they take you to the ocean. And it cost $1 to start your greens, and you had to pay for it. And I only made $8 a month, and it cost $1 to start your shirt and your pants and block your hat. Your hat had to be blocked. We would muster out on the grinder, which was the back of San Diego Bay. That's where the base ended. And first thing you know, hit the wall, hit the bay, hit the bay, hit the bay, hit the bay. So you start off muddy and soaking wet before you even did anything for the day. Well, after about, I think it was like maybe almost a month, I finally decided, because training was 6 months long. And I just said, I ain't polishing these boots another day. I said, I am not wasting another $1 on starching my greens just to get thrown in the bay. So when I made my decision to do that, my next morning we went out for muster, I just jumped in the water. My clothes weren't starched. I quit polishing my buckle. You ever try to get salt out of leather boots? They wanted them boots spit shine. So I would just start roll call in the bay. And the first day that they did roll call and they called my name, and I yelled out from the bay, "Here, Chief," and he's looking like, he walks over to the end of the pier and he goes, "What are you doing in the bay?" He says, "This is where I start off every morning." I said, "This is where you put me." But every morning, that's where I went. I just jumped in the bay. And before over with, there was 5 or 6 of us just jumping in the bay. You know, and then we had this boxer, Chief Jones. You know, one of the things they didn't want when you was going through Navy SEALs to have any identifying marks other than what you were born with, you know. So they were against tattoos. I never thought in my life I'd ever get a tattoo. Matt Perez and David Brinkley and a couple other guys, for the weekend we went over to San Diego and got drunk. Well, being that I was always in trouble, I was so drunk, they took me to Painless Now Tattoo Parlor. And they tattooed my arm. And it says, "Born to Raise Hell." And I woke up the next morning, my arm was all bandaged up and it was all bloody looking, because they said it took her 4 hours to tattoo this. They said she just kept on going over and over, just rub all my skin off. Anyway, started out for PT, and you can't hide it. I had my long sleeve shirts, but they seen the white gauze underneath it, and they want to know what's wrong with your arm, you know, and all that. And they said, take the bandage off. So me and them over there taking it off, and you could see it was going to be a tattoo, but you had no idea what it looked like. It was already infected, swollen, and old Chief Jones said, "Chin up, bar." Get up on the bar and said, "Hang." I had him hanging. And this guy probably weighed 270, 280. Had gigantic arms on him. Boy, he just goes back and just hits me. Whoa, right in the stomach. Blows me off the bars. And he tells me, "Get back up. Get back on the bars." Well, and he did it again. And then all through training, I got harassed because of the tattoos. Now, a lot of guys got tattoos after the fact, you know, while they were in training. You start off in the morning running, carrying your boat. You had a 7-man rubber IBS. You had to put it on your head. And everywhere you went, that boat went. And the bad thing is, the boat crews they made up, you might have somebody that was 6 foot tall, and then you got somebody that's 5'2". And his head's never even on the boat, because you wear a helmet and the boat sits on your head and it sits there and bounces. Well, the little short guys have to have their arms up in the air, because they had to be touching that boat. And everywhere you went, you go to Chow Hall, that boat goes with you. You go over to the Strand where the ocean is, the boat goes with you. You do runs up and down the beach with that boat. Sometimes an instructor in the boat, you know. And it was brutal. I mean, your neck felt like they were breaking your neck, and you know, people would finally just go, I quit, and they get out of the line and they go back to ring the bell. And over that period, 100 rang the bell. And some quit towards the end. You had to go through 4 different phases, and you had to pass them. Well, a hell week, you lose over half, because you go for 7 days and 6 nights, no sleep. They run you 24 hours a day. They give you a task that's impossible to do. But if you finished it, you could go back to the barracks and take a nap, but you could never finish any task they gave you. And when you was through with one task, didn't finish it, they just started another one. They can tell you the same thing, you know. And one thing, they fed you 4 times a day, steak at every meal. You were so tired you couldn't eat it. You know, some people, their face would just plop in their plate, you know, and of course the instructors there, they come over and hit you in the head. And then I remember one time they made us go lay out on the grinder when they started off Hell Week. You know, this is during summer, but this is California. Night times in California are chilly. Well, we started off Hell Week in just our swim trunks, and they laid us out on steel grating. The kind that it's a big old hunk of steel and they just have holes in it, but you're laying out on steel, And they took water hoses and just had the water going on you all night long. And then when they would tell you it was time to get up, you couldn't get up. You just, because you shook all night, you were freezing. You just sit there just shaking. And they would tell you to get up, so you didn't get up, they just leave the water hoses go on you. It was strange. They would come up with every conceivable way to make you quit. We had rock portage, where you had to go in with your rubber boat, IBS, and do rock portage. And these were just some gigantic rock. I think they put them there because San Diego Beach was, but they had this spot that was probably maybe 100 foot wide, 25, 30 foot tall, went out into the ocean, and they made it all the way up to the beach. Well, they would make you get in your IBS and come in from the ocean, and these rocks are full of barnacles. They've been there for 30, 40 years. And most of the time when the boat hit it, the barnacles would slice it, and you lose the front end of your IBS. I was the front guy that was on the boat, and I would have the rope. I was supposed to be the first one to jump off. Well, when you jump off, you go under, and then the boat goes over you because it's just constantly going out. And California always had gigantic waves. I mean, 10-footers. And they come in there and they smash on that rock. Well, when I jumped off that boat, first thing my legs did got stuck in between the rocks, and the boat was going over me, and then it would come back out when the tide come out, and I'd catch breath, and my foot was hung up in a rock, and I couldn't get it out. And eventually I wiggled out, or I guess I would have drowned.